Hello and welcome back to another episode of Ask the Prof. I get asked frequently about a headband that I wear while running called the Omius band. And yeah, it is something that I was given a prototype of in 2019. I did talk a little bit about it in one of the first actual YouTube videos that I created, one of the first Ask the Prof videos on heat management. And so if you want a little bit of information and a good laugh at how things started, go ahead and check that video out. But I thought I would do a full review now, since I have been using the product since Kona of 2019. And it's been a product that I've continued to use despite no financial reason to use it beyond, hopefully it gives me a little bit of a better result at the end. So yeah, this video is going to cover what my thoughts are, how the Omius device works, and some of the science behind it. So in a nutshell, as we begin exercising, our metabolism goes up, and humans are about as efficient as an American car. So as we start to exercise and our metabolism goes up, the amount of heat that we produce, waste products, just like the internal combustion engine waste is giving off heat as waste, we produce a lot of extra heat, and we have to deal with that, otherwise our core temperature will go up. So there's only a few different ways that we can get rid of some of that heat, and that is conduction, convection, radiation. We can gain or lose heat through any of those three methods, and then evaporation. And evaporation is the body's preferred and most efficient way of dissipating that heat. And in normal circumstances, we are going to be losing about 98% of our heat due to evaporation. So even when we're sitting around in a cool room, we might be sweating and not really knowing it. But when we're exercising, that's typically our go-to for dissipating heat. The problem with that is as we start to create more and more heat, we have to evaporate more or sweat more, and that can lead to dehydration and things like that. Furthermore, if it's really humid, then it's hard for the sweat to evaporate off of us, so then it just runs off of us instead through convection, and that's much less efficient. So it's just, we have to sweat a lot more. So even if it's 70 degrees and humid, your sweat rate will likely be much higher than if it's 80 degrees and dry, for example. And so in human conditions, we're sweating even more to try to deal with that heat. So the Omius band, what it does is it has these little pieces that sit on the forehead, and these pieces are very porous. And if you get them wet and provide an airflow, then basically they will increase the speed of evaporation. And if you're trying to just visualize or understand how this works, if you just dip your finger in water and put it outside on a warm day, you'll feel the effect as the water starts to dry off your skin. If you do it with like an alcohol-based, something that has a much higher evaporation rate, it feels even cooler. And if you do that while there's a breeze, then it feels even cooler. And so what the whole concept is as you're running, is that you increase the airflow that's going over you. Now, if you can increase the airflow and the surface area and keep that wet, then you'll increase the cooling effect, and the little pieces actually start to feel cool as they do their job, for lack of a better word. Now, currently, there are no published studies that show that, yes, this is actually effective in reducing the core temperature. And, that might not actually be the overall effect. There are two theories that it could be. One, obviously, it could be causing the evaporation to happen at a high rate, and the blood in your forehead is typically, has to go back to the core. So if you can cool that and then, bring that cooler blood back to the core, it could, in theory, reduce your core temperature. But what it could also be doing is, the blood in your forehead, or providing, a cooling sensation on the forehead could, affect the blood temp, but it could also signal the nerves on the forehead to kind of address the governor in the brain and allow you to, feel like you're a little bit cooler than you actually are. So it could be working by actually decreasing the core temperature, or it could also be working by lowering your body's kind of danger mechanism that causes you to sweat a little bit more, but also it actually might allow you to work a little bit harder in the warmer conditions, or it could be a combination of both of those that make it effective. So as I mentioned, I got one of the first prototypes in 2019. It was actually pretty genius marketing move on their part. They gave one to most of the pros that qualified for Kona that year, and a lot of them wore it with kind of no strings attached. And then unfortunately the pandemic hit and they weren't able to really get into, get their supply chain sorted and things like that. And so they're finally, out in mass production now. So I thought it was, now that they're actually for sale and people are, starting to be able to grab them. And they've just come out with the hats and the new visors and things like that. I thought it was a good time to just do a quick review on them because it is something that I do get asked quite a bit about. In terms of downfalls, like obviously, in order for it to work well, as you can see, like there's quite a few of these little I don't know what briquettes that you could call them, and they can break off, but thankfully now they have the ability to just pop right out, so you can buy replacements once they actually, it gets too many of them are broken off or whatever, you're worried about them losing the effectiveness, you can get a replacement group for it. Obviously that means you do need to be a little bit careful with it as you travel. The band comes with a nice little carrying case. I'm not sure how the hat comes yet, but yeah, definitely take care when you're traveling with it. Make sure you're protecting it, and it should give you quite a bit of use. Personally, I only use it on race day. I want the heat load when I'm training. I want to adapt to that, and so it is one of those race day only products. That's really all I have for you on this review. Please drop any questions you have or anything I missed about the product in the comments section below. Hit the like and subscribe button on your way out, and I will see you next time.